Today we answer the age-old question, what would a high fashion magazine look like if the models were gummy bears? OpenAI just released their brand new Images 2.0 image generation model, and it is awesome. I mean, I think that name might already be taken. Gummy bear selfie! OpenAI has just released ChatGPT Images 2.0. The new image model is available to everyone starting now. Mostly. When you come into ChatGPT, you'll see this create an image option. You'll see all of the new styles they have available, and you should be able to run through a bunch of options. But if you're a paid subscriber, you will have the option to use image generation in thinking mode. I'll come back to that in a minute because it's got a very specific, very useful use case. But honestly, I was so impressed with the instant image generation mode. I don't think I'm going to need thinking as much as I first thought I might. So if you go to OpenAI's official announcement site, you can scroll through just a ton of use cases. They've added a lot to this new image model. Part of it is just far better image generation. You can get really photorealistic images. See this rice? We're going to come back to that at the end of the video. You can now generate truly photorealistic images. They've also added another layer of reasoning on top of the image generation. So not only are the images that they're generating that much stronger, you can request things and it will fill in some details for you that it didn't before. The other thing that they're really promoting on this new image generation model is that it's much stronger across a bunch more languages. Now, I'm not fluent in any of those languages, so I wasn't able to test any of those. But if you do speak any of those languages or read any of those languages, I should say, definitely give this a shot. It's supposedly much, much better. So I've been playing with this new model for a couple of hours, kind of kicking its tires, seeing what it could do. The first thing I wanted to test was that hyper photorealism aspect that they're saying, and I would say this really kind of delivered. This was my, what if a high fashion magazine used gummy bears instead of models? I asked it to create the magazine cover for me, including all of the headlines and the articles. This is what I got. I kind of love the necklace on the gummy bear on this one. So one of the other things that they mentioned in the announcement that this could do really well is to generate multiple images of something using continuity. We've seen that in NanoBanana to some degree. I know some people have been more successful than others. I seem to have trouble with continuity. So I did want to test that out just a little bit here. So I asked it to create sort of 8 to 10 of the articles inside of this magazine. All right, so here's the first thing I noticed. I left it on instant, not on thinking mode. And so it gave me multiple images, but they're all in one image, if that makes any sense. It's almost like it created a storyboard for me of a single image of multiple individual pages in the magazine, not individual images. But that said, I have to say these images are really impressive. Each one of these is really detailed, and the words, the text, the content is all really spot on with what you'd see in a magazine like this, I think. Even the ads, I think, although they did use real names, I guess maybe all publicity is good publicity. So maybe Prada's not too upset about that. But all the content is really visually kind of stunning. This is the only one, ironically, where they did slightly break. The iGum 15 Pro, not a real Apple phone, and the gummy bears themselves, something kind of happened to them there. But other than that, everything else was spot on, from the Tiffany blue gummy bear in the Tiffany ad. And then this was apparently the Art of Being You, a conversation with bear icon Honey. So, like, if you told me that was a photo of a gummy bear, I would totally believe you. And so this is all on Instant, which is the version of the model that's available to everyone for free right now. So the things that they mentioned about the thinking model, now that's only available to the paid subscription from Plus on up through Enterprise. They did specifically mention that using the thinking model will get you a much more detailed image. It'll be able to search the web for you to add a little bit more specificity maybe. and that you could generate multiple images based on a single prompt. So for a lot of people, that's going to be super exciting and really helpful. I do know that for myself, there have been times where I've needed to create multiple images and I wanted to keep the continuity of the character the same. So this would have been really helpful in the past. So then I went in and I did switch to thinking mode and I said, hey, as long as these supermodels are in Paris for this fashion shoot, they're probably going to be out playing tourist. So let's generate a series of images where the models are out just doing touristy stuff. Make it photorealistic. Here's what we got. The Eiffel Tower, eating croissants at a cafe. They had to go see the Mona Lisa. I guess they're taking a river cruise. You got to do a little shopping when you're in Paris. But so again, look at this realism. I feel like they really nailed exactly what I was asking for, which was if gummy bears were models and they were just walking the streets of Paris, what would it look like? And they were just out window shopping and they have their bags with them and people are walking around behind them. I mean, come on, that's pretty crazy. A little bit more sightseeing. Got to get some macarons. I guess they're out for drinks somewhere. And we finish the day with a coffee. So those images were generated using the thinking mode. From a single prompt, I was able to say, use the characters in the previous images and create a series of those characters doing this thing or these series of things. And that worked beautifully. So that right there is really worth it. If you do have access and need for that sort of multiple image generation with continuity. I have to say that feature is really nice. So that was a pretty obvious difference between the thinking mode and the instant mode. So I kind of wanted to see what else the limits were of the instant model, just to see what comes out of the box for free. So one of the things that they mentioned was that it's much better at reasoning. And I know in the past, I personally, and I've seen other people have trouble generating images that understand kind of the laws of physics. It might get it technically what you asked for, but maybe something is just not quite right. So here's an example. The next thing I asked for was 3 images of books on a cheap folding table. I wanted the first image to have 50 pounds of books, then 500 pounds of books, and then 5,000 pounds of books. I wanted to kind of see if it understood mass and the physics associated with mass. And boy, did it deliver. So again, this is on instant mode, and you can see that table's already buckling under 500 pounds of books, and under 5,000 pounds, it's hopeless. It is cracking. I mean, maybe you could argue that the table would be completely collapsed, but the fact that it's already starting to show signs of wear here, I think that proves that it really is getting better at reasoning. Now, if you wanted to get really nitpicky, I could say the text on these books is still complete gibberish. There is literally nothing on here that's legible. Even though I'm zooming in and losing a little bit of the resolution, it's clearly not real text. So I might say that this might be one of the artifacts of having the instant model, but in fairness, I did not ask it for actual text, but that might be one of the edge cases. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did ask for that same prompt again using the thinking model, and these are the images that I got. The best I can say is perhaps the thinking model was smart enough to think, gosh, I can't really render text on 5,000 pounds of books, so I'm just going to rotate the books 90 degrees so all they see is the edge of the paper. Good thinking model. Okay, but I did want to test their text rendering capability that they mentioned is even better than it used to be, and it was pretty good before, but I thought I'd kind of combine that with reasoning again. So I just asked it to create an infographic for me about what your house plan is trying to tell you, and then give, care and tips to fix the problems. And holy cow, did it deliver. Look at this thing. So this might be just a little bit hard to see on the screen. I'll try to make that a little bit bigger. But every single thing, first of all, the images that it has, completely photorealistic, I believe are pretty accurate to what some of the problems that it's describing, what the plant would actually look like. And then every single thing is, as far as I know, actual information on what causes it, the effect on the plant, and the treatment for how to fix it. All the text looks right. Everything looks correct. This is like something you'd buy at a nursery or get in a gardening magazine. Again, this was on Instant. So as far as I'm concerned, this is full reasoning with cause effect and photorealistic photos and a completely accurate handout at the end. So at this point, I kind of gave up trying to figure out what other boundaries I needed to push, what I might need that thinking model for. I'm sure there are some, but I just didn't have time to fully stress test this thing. And honestly, I was so impressed already with the Instant model. I have trouble imagining what I'm going to run into that I need to bump it up to thinking from here on out. Instant is really just that good. Oh yeah, you remember that pile of rice I was talking about earlier? This is in their demo. Apparently, they generated an image of a pile of rice, and on one of the grains of rice, they've got image 2.0 written on the side of the grain of rice. They're trying to find it right now. There it is, GPT Image 2. There's a couple more things worth mentioning. One of their features is you can turn a photograph into a logo. I can't say I was super impressed with this one. I mean, it was fine. But once you do have an image generated, they have new aspect ratios. If you've been using ChatGPT for a while, you know in the past they've had, I think, 3. It's like square and then a 2-3 and a 3-2, like slightly rectangle, slightly tilted rectangle. They have a ton now, including widescreen 16:9, which is what everybody uses for YouTube. So anybody working on thumbnails is probably going to be super excited about this one. But they do show them off in their announcement article, all these different aspect ratios. They've got some really wide ones. They've got almost like a panoramic one. And then they've got one that just seemingly goes on and on and on. I don't know when you'd use that, but I do really like that they give you that option. So that's GPT Images 2.0. It does so many other things. They have so many other examples on their announcement and in their video. There was no way I could even scratch the surface of what all it can do. Basically, if you can think of it, you should try it in this model. And it is available, like I said, for free to everyone right now. One other quick thing, if you follow LLM Arena, you might have seen that's where people put their models out for testing. They usually use code names before they release them to the public. They confirmed this was duct tape. So if you had that in your Polymarket bet, you probably just won some money. All right, that was the first look. I gotta say, this thing, super impressive, very fun. Once again, GPT Images 2.0 hit it out of the ballpark. This thing, they blew it away. Their image models have always been really good. This one, no exception. Go out and play. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.